Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Liz, and today I'm going to talk about something that is very close to home. I'm going to talk about skeletal remains that were found in Maine yesterday. So after a tip was sent in, it led to remains in woods in western Maine. So it's very intriguing as to how this came about. So the person that had the tip was the father of a missing girl. Now, this girl has been missing since 1986. And we're talking about Kimberly Moreau, 17-year-old Kimberly Moreau. Now, her father has been working with a psychic for over 5 years. And this psychic led him and his family to a place in the woods. This is off of Elm Street in Maine, which is only 2 streets over from where he lives, his home. And in the woods, the psychic ended up feeling a very strong connection with one of the spots. And when they went there, they ended up finding skeletal remains. Obviously, at first, you would think that possibly this is who they were searching for. So after the remains were found, they did the correct thing. They informed the police and the state investigators. They came out and, took the remains. But the forensic anthropologist that looked at these remains determined that they were male, they were not female. So it was not Kimberly Moreau, who has been missing for 38 years. It is very sad for the family to feel that they came this far, and hopefully they found these remains of their loved one. But it turned out to not be of their loved one. But what happened to Kimberly Moreau? So that we know of and what I've found on Facebook, because there's a whole thread about this. I follow a missing persons thing, and obviously the remains came about, the news report of the remains, and a lot of things are speculated. There's a lot of could be this, it could be that. What we know is this, that Kimberly was last seen in Maine just prior to midnight on May 9th of 1986. She was last seen with someone that she had met earlier that day, and since then she has not been seen. Some of the family have shared that Kimberly told her sister she was gonna go hang out with some friends and she would come back around 11. Later on that day, it was told to them that somebody saw Kimberly getting into a white Monte Carlo or Trans Am, a later model, with a friend and a 25-year-old male companion. Her family had said that Kimberly's friend, the one that she was with, was very familiar with this male companion. So that friend also claimed that Kimberly was dropped off earlier the next morning, so on May 10th of 1986, on Jewel Street, or very early into the next morning hours on Jewel Street, which is just 2 streets over from where the skeletal remains were. So Jewel Street, it literally right near where her family lived and where the remains were found. The remains that they found were behind a building, and this building was once the local bowling alley. The bowling alley that they're talking about is called The Alley, or also known as Tri-Town Lanes, which was obviously it's a popular area. It's a bowling alley in town. There's not a lot of things to do, so there you go. But the remains were found behind this building on Saturday. Her family is still reeling from what has transpired, because they had all these hopes that this was their loved one, but just to find out later on that day, and there's an exact time that 5:45 p.m., that's what it was, is that the anthropologist told the family that it was male, it was not female. I'm pretty sure that this is a family member, Karen Dalot or Dalit. She wrote on Facebook in this group, which is Kimberly Moreau Missing from Maine. It's been an emotional weekend for my family. On October 19th, 2024, human remains were found by the bowling alley, which is the alley or Tri-Town lanes. Decedent disappeared on May 10th of 1986. At around 5:45 p.m., the anthropologist told us that it was male. I am saddened that the remains are not my sister. There you go. This is her sister. I know that another family is gaining closure. Please keep her in your prayers and that she will be found next and that their answers are out there. And if you have any tips, just to send them in. And all the comments that I've read on it are everybody is heartbroken and they feel for the family and things like that. Which hopefully I'm hoping that there are more tips that come in when it comes to this case, because there's some things that there's some speculation in this case. I do know that there is a young man that did go missing the same year as Kim Moreau, and his name is Harold Simpson. He was 28 years old. There's not a lot of information about him. There is that, and he went missing from Livermore Falls, which Livermore Falls is also in Maine, if you didn't know that as well. So let's get into some speculation, shall we? Also on one of these threads is somebody asked about information about the human remains, and somebody put under there, now he's the same author of this, that he believes somebody from LFHS and JHS has something to do with it or a part of it or knows who it was, and that they're reading this post and somehow they're involved in this case, which could be a possibility. There is speculation that the night before she disappeared, she went to a party in Meadowview that night, and there's a strange story about her being drunk and her being put in an abandoned well, and like her being forgotten after being put there. And I mean, that's some speculation. There's another thing where it's thought that Lloyd Franklin Millet had something to do with her disappearance. Now, he lived on the same street as her. He's known for murdering a woman at the Ramada Inn in Lewiston, Maine. But yeah, he lived on the same street as the Moreau family, so that's also speculation. There's little things here and there that it doesn't make sense, but it does make sense. Like, all of it is strange. Like, last being seen getting in a car, remains being found behind a bowling alley, last being seen by a friend, but the friend's name is not being released, like, or it has been released, but it's never been like fully public knowledge. A lot of older cases like this, it's hard to talk about because a lot of people are hush hush, or people that could have known or been there at the night, they're too terrified to talk about it because something could have happened. Like, we don't know. An update as of 3 hours ago, released by Maine State Police Major Crimes Unit, they said that the remains that were found at 24 Elm Street shortly prior to noon yesterday, so October 19th, that the J Police Department was alerted, requested assistance from the state's investigators to help aid in the identification of the remains that were found. Remains were taken to the Chief Medical Examiner's office in Augusta, Maine, where forensic experts worked on identifying the individual. So, a lot of details about the skeleton have not been released other than gender, that it was male. Any information that anyone has, obviously J Police Department is urging you to contact them. And of course, at this time, we do know that the remains are not the 17-year-old teenager who went missing in 1986, that of Kimberly Moreau. Now, her father, Dick Moreau, told Maine's Total Coverage, which is a news network, this evening that the remains were male. He did release that information. And that's also when he talked about working with a psychic for 5 years and how the psychic helped his family discover these remains just a few streets away from his home, which is what I already told you. And that when they realized what they found, obviously called police, which was the smart thing to do. Nothing was touched. Everything was left the way it was, which is not a lot of people can say that they would do that after finding remains. A lot of people would try and touch it, or some would just like throw up. Um, People do odd things when they find remains. And not to sound like really gross about it, but it's true. People are both sides of the spectrum when it comes to finding remains. The spokesperson for the Maine State Police, her name is Shannon Moss, said that they are possibly human, but there's no confirmation from the chief medical examiner's office. It was leaked on Yahoo News. Like I said, there's a lot of speculation when it comes to this case, and that they are trying to learn as much as they can when it comes to these skeletal remains that were discovered. So there's also another name that was talked about, and his name is Harold Simpson. So Harold Brooks Simpson actually went missing on August 16th of 1986. So a few months after Kimberly went missing. He went missing from Livermore Falls. He's still considered endangered missing. He was 28 years old, and he was last he was last seen on August 16th of 1986. Let's see, he was supposed to go fishing with a friend, but he was never heard from again. His vehicle was found abandoned on Ferry Road in Livermore, and he was reported missing from his girlfriend. He was last seen on August 16th, 1986 in Livermore Falls. That we know of him, he was Caucasian, green eyes, red hair. He had bad burns from an accident in 1982, and he had tons of scarring on his ears, hands, and nose. Multiple tattoos. One was of the word mom on his right shoulder, and he also had one of a snake on his leg. And he also had a wolf on the fingers of his right hand. He also went by the nickname of Harry. So it's speculated that his case has something to do with Kimberly Moreau's case, but that is not definitive. We don't know if there is a connection because she was last seen getting into a vehicle with her friend and a man. But this friend said that they like dropped her off, like she got out of the car on Jewel Street. So something with her friend doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. Kimberly Moreau was last seen with blue jeans, white high-top sneakers. She had a man's class ring that had Mike Staples and Mike 87 on it. She was 135 pounds and 5'7". She also had a short sleeve white blouse on. Again, like I stated, she was last seen the night of May 9th. So I'm pulling up on the Charlie Project, I actually have more information, which is good. Kimberly got into an argument with her boyfriend, and she had canceled her plans to attend the prom at her high school. So she didn't want to go with her boyfriend anymore on May 11th, 1986. So instead, that evening, on May 9th, she ended up going out with a friend, and this is when they met two 25-year-old male acquaintances, if you will. Kimberly went to her house on Jewel Street at around 11 p.m. This is when she told her sister she would return home in an hour. She was last seen going into a white Monte Carlo or Pontiac Trans Am with one of these guys. And she didn't have her purse, she didn't have makeup or any personal belongings when she left her home. And she was on her way to a party where there would be drinking. So the guy she was with, his name is Brian Enman, and he said that he dropped her off at 3:45 a.m. He then told the police that Kimberly was still upset because of fighting with her boyfriend, and she wanted to be let out of the car on Jewel Street, which is a half-mile from her home. And she said that she wanted to be alone and walk the remaining distance to her house. And this is when she was never seen again, and this is why foul play is suspected in her case. So the Maine State Police did say that they have two prime suspects and they've never been publicly identified. Brian Enman is a POI, person of interest, in her disappearance, but he's never been charged in connection to it. Over the years since Kimberly's disappearance, Kimberly's father, Dick Moreau, has maintained contact with Brian Enman in hopes of figuring out what happened. They've searched Enman's property, a 5-acre property that belongs to him, with hopes of finding anything that belongs to Kimberly, but they haven't found anything. Um, Everything is really like she up and vanished. Kimberly's father believes that she died within a few hours after her leaving her house, and that her sister thinks that she died accidentally on the night of her disappearance, and there's people that are covering it up. Hence why I think what that dude put on Facebook comes into play, where he thinks that people in town are covering up what happened. Um, it is quite possible that there's people that went to the same high school as her that know exactly what happened, and they're just not doing anything about it. They're just watching from afar, waiting in the wings. Kimberly Moreau was publicly declared dead in 1993, and her case still remains unsolved. If you or anyone you know has any information when it comes to the disappearance of Kimberly Moreau, you can contact the Maine State Police, the Major Crimes Unit South, at 1 Game Farm Road in Gray, Maine, which the zip code is 04039. You can also call them at 207-624-7076, extension 9, or send it via fax, which is 207-657-5748.